Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats for the service to commence. Thank you. We are pleased to have with us today Colonel David Lennox Lee, the Deputy Lord Lieutenant for Staffordshire, along with Rear Admiral Luc Paget, Defence Attaché to the French Embassy, Una Clemenson, Chair of the Royal British Legion, and General the Lord Dannatt, Deputy Chairman of the Normandy Memorial Trust, David Wimperney, Chair of the National Memorial Arboretum, Rear Admiral Jim MacLeod, Defence Services Secretary, George Batt, Normandy veteran and patron of the Normandy Memorial Trust, Rear Admiral Ian Lower, Assistant Chief of the Naval Staff, Major General Charlie Collins, General Officer Commanding 1st United Kingdom Division, Air Vice Marshal Harv Smith, Director, Space. And we are pleased to welcome you to the beautiful National Memorial Arboretum, part of the Royal British Legion, and this very special service on the occasion when we witness together the formal opening of the British Normandy Memorial on the 77th anniversary of D-Day. Before we start, a few housekeeping points which may help you. Your comfort and safety are our priority. Please, if you have any concerns or questions or feel unwell, our support team are here to assist you. They're all in blue T-shirts, so they're easy to identify. It's a wet day, but if you feel you're overheating, please don't suffer in silence. We can help. For your convenience, we have positioned toilets over there, and you should have water under your seats, but of course there's plenty all around you. Please may I ask you to turn off your mobile phones while you are seated here on the Royal Navy Review. Unless you are an accredited member of the media, please do not take photographs during the service. And how could we have an event in these changed times without mentioning COVID? Although we're lucky enough to be outside and have plenty of space, please be conscious of the current restrictions and remain socially distanced from anyone who's not in your bubble or household, and wear face coverings where appropriate. If you require help from any of our staff, please be assured that they will follow COVID-safe protocols. Later, veterans will be invited to come up and lay wreaths after the formal wreath laying. At the end of the service, please follow the instructions of our ushers, who will invite one row at a time to stand and make your way out via the central aisle. At this time, you're welcome to stay to meet the visiting dignitaries or take the opportunity to lay your wreaths or tributes alongside other wreaths laid during the service, if you have not already done so, or anywhere else within the National Memorial Arboretum. The Arboretum's volunteers will be happy to help you find specific memorials. To give you an idea of what we expect today, the service is likely to run for about 1 hour and 40 minutes. RBL have had the privilege of working in partnership with the Normandy Memorial Trust on this service, and at 10:30, the Trust's Nicholas Witchell will take us through to the live coverage of the opening ceremony of the British Normandy Memorial on our screens here, and share this very special moment with a small local audience lucky enough to be able to gather in Normandy today. The fine-tuning of the running order between France and us here means we need to run a tight ship on the timings. If necessary, we may reduce the number of verses in the hymn Abide With Me to ensure that we link to the event in Vers sur Mer in good time. I'll let you know before we start singing. We are also honoured today to have Rear Admiral Pagé with us, who will be conducting presentations of the Légion d'honneur towards the end of the ceremony. The RBL would like to offer particular thanks to the Ministry of Defence and to all of the personnel from each of the single services for their support of today's service. We are also delighted to have the band of the Yorkshire Regiment here under the direction of the Director of Music, Captain Gary Clegg, and our buglers are from the band of Her Majesty's Royal Marine Sportsmith Royal Band under the direction of the Corps Bugle Major, Warrant Officer Class 2, Phil Hawkins, Royal Marines. They've rehearsed under very difficult circumstances here because of COVID restrictions so that they can be here today, and we are very grateful for their important contribution. At the end of the service, there will be an opportunity to stay and meet some of our invited guests, and then you are welcome to explore the beautiful site here at the Auditorium. In the meantime, let's hear from the band of the Yorkshire Regiment once again. Yes?
Your earpiece is sort of, it's sort of
Yeah.
a bit higher. Can I put it a bit higher?
Yeah.
Because the music's all stuck together. So the music
On D-Day, 6th of June 1944, the Allies launched a combined forces assault on enemy-occupied France. It was the largest air, land, and sea operation in history and a triumph of international cooperation. It started a campaign and it ended the war, and it should never be forgotten. The Royal British Legion is delighted to see so many veterans with us at the Arboretum to commemorate D-Day and to witness the official opening of the British Normandy Memorial. The past year has been particularly difficult for all of us. The scale of the pandemic means that for the first time since the Second World War, the entire world is facing a common threat and a common enemy. We have had daily reminders that each death is unique, with an impact that ripples through a family, a unit, or a community. So this year, coming together to commemorate D-Day, a time that encapsulates the spirit of resilience, duty, and determination, seems particularly apt. D-Day remains one of the most remarkable Allied wartime operations in history, marking a turning point in the Second War and a World War and changing the course of history. Through the memorials here at the Arboretum and the memories of our veterans and the descendants and family members of those who served, we can continue to pass down through generations the stories of the immense bravery and sacrifice shown by all who served and fell during this shared history, ensuring that the significance of our shared history and the sacrifices on our behalf will never be forgotten. The 1st Battalion of the Suffolk Regiment, in which I later served, was among those who fought their way ashore on Sword Beach, and I am pleased to be here with you to share in this commemoration. Now we shall turn our attention to the screens. Each year, the RBL hosts commemorations in Bayeux, and earlier this morning, there was a small but symbolic ceremony at Bayeux War Cemetery, attended by Her Majesty's Ambassador to France, Lord Ed Llewellyn. We captured some of the most significant moments here to share with you here. The Arboretum has been created as a place for national reflection and remembrance, and we are commemorating this D-Day with a drumhead service. The drumhead service originated in the 1700s when a regimental padre would conduct a service in the field of battle to commemorate the fallen comrades and to prepare for difficult times ahead. They would use the regimental drums piled neatly and draped with the appropriate colors to create a platform upon which their chaplain could place a Bible. Today's service is being led by Padre Pat Aldred, with the drums laid by the members of 16th Signal Regiment. This will be followed by the entrance of the Standard, the Royal British Legion Standard, and the Union Standard, carried by David Folder and Bob Perkins. Right, we're going back there.
So as we gather, let us remember before God and commend to his sure keeping those who have died for their country in war, those whom we knew, and those whose memory we treasure. We remember all who have lived and died in the service of humankind. We dedicate these drums as an altar in memory of those who served unto death and with gratitude for those who returned after service and suffering. Amen.
My name is Gilbert Clark, and in 1943, I lied about my age and left my family and friends behind in Jamaica to volunteer for the RAF. I volunteered like so many millions of others from Britain, the Commonwealth, and elsewhere out of a sense of duty to fight for king and country, to play my part, like all the veterans here today, in ensuring we left the world a better place for everyone. I wanted to share my memories of D-Day as a young recruit training in Britain. We had been on high alert for some time and had been on fire picket duty. Those duties were especially important as fire in the night was very dangerous, as enemy aircraft could pick out targets readily. On D-Day, I was in class studying the new radar technology when we heard this huge, loud, droning noise. We all rushed outside to see what was happening. It was hundreds and hundreds of aircrafts of all kinds. You could hardly see the sky. Our tutor, Chiefy Brown, said, "It started, boys," and everyone started cheering and waving them on. That was when we first knew D-Day was on the way. I thought of two things, personally. Firstly, I hoped that D-Day would mean that the war would soon be over. And secondly, I wanted to finish my studies as soon as I could play my part in ending the war quickly. D-Day brought us hope. It was a day I won't forget, and I'm proud to do my part in ensuring that the memory of what so many did on that day is kept alive. Thank you.
And thank you to Gilbert Clark there for his evocative accounts of the planes flying over on their way to the Normandy beaches. We now come to the hymn Abide With Me. As I mentioned, this will then lead into the formal opening of the British Normandy Memorial. We will be singing 3 verses today.
Do please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. And so now an event of some significance in our D-Day remembrance. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, but most especially our Normandy veterans, both here in Staffordshire and watching online. May I, on behalf of the Normandy Memorial Trust, welcome you to the official opening of the British Normandy Memorial. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? 77 years. Long overdue are two words that I've heard so often over the years that we've been putting this project together. But now, finally, the memorial exists. We can see it in a moment on the big screens. There we are. It's sun shining in Normandy this morning. They're lucky. Now, they are mostly locally based guests in Vers-sur-Mer this morning. They're listening to a speech by France's Defence Minister, Madame Florence Parly. We'll return to Vers-sur-Mer in a few moments when the two sites will be linking together for the opening ceremony. A few words of background. First, I should explain who I am. My name's Nicholas Witchell, and 6 years ago, a Normandy veteran, whom many veterans will know, came to see me. His name, of course, is George Batts, and I'm delighted that he's with us this morning here in a place of distinction. George, welcome. You will know, many of you, that for many years, George was the National Secretary of the Normandy Veterans Association, and when George came to see me in July 2015, he pointed out that the United Kingdom did not have its own national memorial in Normandy in tribute to all those under British command who lost their lives on D-Day and during the Battle of Normandy. George, you planted the idea. I know how much this has meant to you for many years. Thank you. And that is how this all started, with a completely blank sheet of paper. The Normandy Memorial Trust was formed. We found our architect, Liam O'Connor. We found the perfect site overlooking Gold Beach. The British government agreed to provide £20 million from the LIBOR Fund. A distinguished board of trustees kindly agreed to join us. And we set about the not inconsiderable task to purchase the land, to design the memorial, to navigate the complexities of the French planning system, and to draw together the names to be inscribed on the memorial. The memorial site was inaugurated on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. At that point, we only have one piece of the memorial in place, the sculpture by David Williams Ellis. 2 years later, the memorial is complete, so let me take you on a brief tour of it. And let's start with that D-Day sculpture, the figures of 3 British soldiers coming ashore, set against the backdrop of Gold Beach and the remnants of the Mulberry Harbour of Arromanches. The sculpture is within what we call Memorial Court, the heart of the memorial structure. On the walls are words from George VI's D-Day broadcast and Winston Churchill's "We Will Never Surrender" speech. Coming through from Memorial Court, we find the D-Day wall, and here are inscribed the names of the nearly 1,500 servicemen under British command who lost their lives on D-Day itself. And then on 160 pillars are the names of the nearly 21,000 others who died between the 7th of June and the end of August 1944. It's appropriate that I say some thank yous to our contractors, the people who build the memorial, our French constructors Eiffage and the outstanding British stonemasons S. McConnell and Sons. We thank the British government for its financial support. We thank the private benefactors, notably Lord Michael Spencer. We thank the Daily Mail and its generous readers, and we warmly thank all the Normandy veterans who've supported us. And I want to say a very special good morning to one of our greatest champions, Mr. Harry Billinge, who I know is watching with his many friends in St. Austell this morning. Harry, you've been an inspiration, and we do thank you. Now, we look forward to the day when we can all visit Normandy ourselves. But in the meantime, here is a message from Normandy from the chairman of the Normandy Memorial Trust, Peter Ricketts.
A warm welcome from all of us here at the Normandy Memorial at Vers-sur-Mer to the veterans and families in Staffordshire. We are so sorry you can't be with us today for the opening of this wonderful memorial, but I can promise you it looks great and we're waiting to receive you here as soon as that is possible. I hope you enjoy today's ceremony.
The time is 10:35 here in Britain. Ladies and gentlemen, our two sites have come together. We greet all the guests in Vers-sur-Mer, in the sunshine. Mesdames et messieurs, notre public ici au National Memorial Arboretum en Angleterre salue toutes les personnes présentes sur le site du Memorial de Vers-sur-Mer. In the audience here are nearly 100 Normandy veterans and Viscount Montgomery, Henry Montgomery, grandson of Sir Bernard Montgomery, commander of the D-Day Land Forces. We also acknowledge and thank the families of Sir Winston Churchill and General Charles de Gaulle for their valued support. Ici, en Angleterre, nous avons près de 100 anciens combattants de la bataille de Normandie et le Viscount Montgomery, petit-fils du général Sir Bernard Montgomery. Nous remercions également les familles de Winston Churchill et du général Charles de Gaulle pour leur soutien. Dans quelques minutes, nous entendrons le prince de Galles, mais d'abord, sur vos écrans, l'histoire du Memorial britannique du Normandy. Ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes, we will have a special message from the Prince of Wales. But first, on the video screens, the story of the British Normandy Memorial.
To us is given the honour of striking a blow for freedom which will live in history. And in the better days that lie ahead, men will speak with pride of our doings.
We lucky ones, we got off, but you left a lot of mates behind. And you never forget them. When you come back here, you can see their faces. And of course, they'll never be older. We still see them, 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Oh, I think it's ideal. Fantastic. There's the beach there, Gold Beach as well. Ideal spot. Couldn't wish for better.
Absolutely good idea.
Good idea. We did.
It's long overdue.
We want people to feel a profound, elevated sense of emotion as they walk slowly towards the heart of the memorial, as it builds from the landscape towards architecture and an ever-increasing sense of the prominence of the sea and that relationship between the historic battle space of the D-Day landings and the memorial.
I can't even visualise this as it was all those years ago. I think it's a wonderful position, marvellous. It's peaceful too.
I feel that if I don't achieve this to the very best, highest standard, I will have let those people down.
It is incredibly moving to be here today, looking out across beaches where one of the greatest battles for freedom this world has ever known took place.
We owe our freedom to our veterans, and whatever it takes, we will never surrender, and whatever it takes, we will always stand together.
I'm no hero, I was lucky, I'm here. All the heroes are dead, and I'll never forget them as long as I live.
We've got to be right on the button with preciseness. It's very important that we get the level of the face absolutely flat.
It's a great privilege for me personally. It's probably a once-in-a-lifetime job. The bit that really touches my heart, you would lift a stone and there's maybe the name of 10 soldiers on one side and the name of 10 soldiers on the other side. And I would be thinking to myself, just the wide circle of family that was affected just by the names of those 20 soldiers that would be on one of those columns.
I'm 22 and I'm very privileged to work on a job this size, this job will be here for hundreds of years. They're very young. They probably didn't know exactly what they were going to do.
This is it. This is what you've been raising money towards. And you've never seen this before.
No, never.
How does it make you feel? Because the work you're doing, it's now concrete, it's tangible, it's there, you can touch it.
Marvellous.
Quite humbling in a way to be standing next to these great big pieces of stone, the depth of the walls, the permanence of this piece now. We've spent a long time on all these words and focusing on every letter and really thinking about the message that's being portrayed here.
Now our duty is to make sure that this memorial stays in wonderful condition to pass its message to future generations.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the memorial we have built. So let us now begin the formal opening of the British Normandy Memorial with this special message from our patron, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales.
Ladies and gentlemen, as patron of the Normandy Memorial Trust, it gives me the greatest possible pride to be able to open officially this remarkable memorial on the 77th anniversary of D-Day. As you can perhaps imagine, I had so hoped to be in Vers-sur-Mer with you all today. However, whilst we are forced to meet virtually, I was much encouraged to hear that some of you have been able to gather to witness the proceedings at the National Memorial Arboretum today. If I may, I particularly wanted to address my first remarks directly to those whose presence today, either in person or online, really matters the most. I know just how much our incomparable veterans had hoped to be in Normandy today to see their memorial for themselves. Despite having to watch via satellite link, this in no way obscures the enormous regard and admiration in which we hold our veterans, or diminishes our debt of gratitude to the more than 22,000 men and women whose names are now permanently inscribed in stone in this place of honor above Gold Beach. As I said when I first became aware of the plans for this long overdue British memorial, it has for many years been a concern to me that the memory of these remarkable individuals should be preserved for future generations as an example of personal courage and sacrifice for the benefit of the wider national and indeed international community. Je voudrais aussi ici saluer le sacrifice des civils normands, des Français, qui subirent les lourdes conséquences d'une bataille historique sur leur terre. Ce mémorial britannique leur rend hommage et rappelle le souvenir des milliers de civils victimes des combats de cet été 1944. It has been a great source of satisfaction for me to see how the plans for the memorial have developed over the years. Indeed, I had the pleasure of discussing those plans with President Macron when he visited London last summer, and I know how much this British memorial and the French memorial, which stands alongside it, mean to him and the French nation. The British and French flags will fly alongside each other above the memorial, a reminder of the enduring and important ties between our two countries. I would very much like to take the opportunity to thank all those at the Normandy Memorial Trust who have worked so hard to turn this memorial into a reality, and all those who have either taken part in the memorial's construction or who have contributed alongside the British government to fund this most significant of landmarks. Furthermore, whilst I very much look forward to the day we can all visit this wonderful memorial in person, I would also like to thank the Royal British Legion in this, their centenary year, for their kindness in making available the facilities at the National Memorial Arboretum so that our veterans may gather and be part of this virtual opening on the 77th anniversary of D-Day. I can only hope that this serves to commemorate all those whose lives were lost during the events of June 1944 and between D-Day and the liberation of Paris at the end of August 1944. May God bless our veterans, the families, and all those who paid the ultimate sacrifice as a result of the operations around D-Day and during the Battle of Normandy. Ladies and gentlemen, as the wonders of modern technology can only do so much, and I can't quite reach from London, may I ask the British Ambassador to France, Lord Llewellyn, to open formally the British Normandy Memorial on my behalf.
Madame la Ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs, Mr. Milcrease, Mr. Shea. Veterans, joining us from the National Arboretum or watching online, welcome to the British Normandy Memorial. Welcome, veterans, to your memorial, the memorial for which you have campaigned so hard and so long. It stands here proudly in the Norman sun, overlooking Gold Beach, facing home. The names of the 22,442 of more than 30 nations who gave their lives under British command from D-Day until the end of August 1944 are etched into its honeyed stone forever. I dearly wish you could be here to see it in person today. I can assure you, standing here, that it is truly a memorial fit for heroes. Below us, the waves are lapping gently. In the distance, we can see Arromanches and the remains of the Mulberry Harbour. Just off the coast, a warship of the Royal Navy is paying silent tribute. A more tranquil, beautiful scene it would be hard to imagine. Peace, thanks to you, and thanks to all those whose names surround us here. How utterly different from 77 summers ago, when the fate of the entire world depended on what you accomplished on this seashore. There are the acts of heroism that have entered the annals of D-Day. The capture of Pegasus Bridge and the Great Airborne Assault, Company Sergeant Major Hollis earning his Victoria Cross not far from here, the courage of the French resistance. And then there are the countless acts of quiet heroism, captured in the faces of the young soldiers, crouched in their assault craft, battling seasickness in the heavy swell, waiting for the moment the front ramp came down. On the warships of the Royal Navy at sea, in the air with the bombers and fighters of the Royal Air Force and our allies. These are the men who enabled liberty to regain her foothold on the European continent on the 6th of June, 1944, and who, in the days and weeks that followed, lifted the shackles of tyranny, hedgerow by Normandy hedgerow, mile by bloody mile. I know how reluctant our veterans are to be described as heroes. The real heroes, you always say, are those who never came home, your mates. Their names are here now, thanks to you, together in this place of honor. Behind every one of them is an individual story. A father, a son, a brother, a daughter, an uncle or a grandfather or even a great-grandfather, and a family whose lives were changed forever. Men like Lieutenant Theodore Ionides, Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve, who landed in the US sector and was killed on D-Day +5. His daughter Anthea, who was 9 at the time, still remembers the dreadful telegram sitting on the mantelpiece. Women such as Sister Field and Sister Evershed, army nurses who lost their lives after their hospital ship was hit. But this memorial is about the future as much as the past, about ensuring that future generations understand the true worth of our freedom, that we never take it for granted, that we never forget. So let me echo the Prince of Wales in extending my thanks to all those who've made this memorial possible. To George Batts, who has campaigned so tirelessly, and with whom I remember discussing it during the 70th anniversary of D-Day in 2014. To so many other veterans, to the Normandy Memorial Trust. À nos amis français, à Madame la Ministre, pour votre présence aujourd'hui. Au Président de la République, pour son soutien indéfectible pour ce monument qui reflète les liens de sang entre nos deux pays. Ce mémorial rappelle aussi les sacrifices français et les victimes civiles pendant la libération. Merci à Monsieur le Préfet, à Monsieur le maire de Vers-sur-Mer et à tous les citoyens de Vers-sur-Mer. Merci à tous les Normands. Vous veillez sur nos morts, vous accueillez nos vétérans. Cela nous touche du fond du cœur. I look forward to returning to this memorial, not as the British ambassador, but as the father of 3 young Franco-British children. I will tell them the story of D-Day, and I will teach them the message of D-Day, how we will always remember and always be proud, how you did your job, as you always so modestly put it, and now we must do ours. We must defend the beachhead you won at such a cost. With humility and with great pride, I declare the British Normandy Memorial open.
The ambassador and the French Defence Minister will now cut a ribbon, the symbolic moment of the memorial's opening. Above them, inscribed in stone, are General Bernard Montgomery's words to the D-Day forces on the 5th of June. To us is given the honour of striking a blow for freedom which will live in history, and in the better days that lie ahead, men will speak with pride of our doings. We speak with pride now and remember with gratitude as we move towards the silence at 11 o'clock. We remember all those who lost their lives on this day 77 years ago and in the days that followed. And let us remember those events through the words of some of those who witnessed them, beginning on the evening of the 5th of June as the invasion forces departed from the south coast of Britain, bound for Normandy.
The sky over our house began to fill with the sound of aircraft, which swelled until it overflowed the darkness. The noise became solid, beating the ground with the relentless surge of an ocean swell. We were transfixed and wordless, gripped by the power, majesty, and menace of what we were witnessing.
The coast of Normandy began to take shape through the haze. It was a sight so paralyzing that it brought tears to my eyes. It was as if every ship and every plane that had ever been built was there. There had never been, since time began, such a rendezvous of fighting men.
Troops, man your boats, came over the loud hailer. My hands grew numb, and my teeth were chattering cold and fright. It was hay hour, and the 1st Infantry were rolling in. Private Hindmarch was behind me, and Sapper Mullen. He died of his wounds later that day. And Lieutenant Kennedy, looking grim, but enjoying his rum, just as well as he was never seen again, leaving the boat.
C'était le silence. Nous les avons entendus arriver. L'atterrissage en catastrophe des planeurs. Un grand craquement de bois très effrayant. Des coups de feu quand ils traversèrent le pont. Puis nous avons aperçu leurs visages, noircis, terrifiants. Les Britanniques étaient arrivés. Quelle joie! Et nous étions libres. La nuit était silencieuse. We heard them come, the crashing landing of the gliders, the sound of the gunshots as they crossed the bridge. Then their faces appeared, smeared in black camouflage cream. Terrifying, frightening. The British had arrived. It was joy. We were free.
I remember the beach so clearly. I wasn't scared. I just saw it as a challenge to do all the good I could, to get alongside the wounded and the dying. It meant a great deal to them, just to have a hand to hold. Most of them had faith, but some of them were very worried about what would become of their families.
It all came down to a bunch of men in their teens or 20s. They were magnificently trained and equipped, but only a few of them had ever been in combat. But when the test came, when freedom had to be fought for or abandoned, they fought. They were soldiers of democracy. They were the men of D-Day, and to them we owe our freedom.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the days condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
when you go home, tell them about us, and say, for your tomorrow we gave our today.
And in Vers-sur-Mer, the British ambassador, Lord Llewellyn, and the French Defence Minister, Madame Florence Parly, step forward, if we can see them, as wreaths are presented to them so that they can be placed at the D-Day wall on behalf of the United Kingdom and France. There, the ambassador and the minister stepping forward to place a British wreath of red poppies and a French wreath of blue cornflowers, the French flower of remembrance. The wreaths are placed at the foot of the D-Day wall, on which are inscribed the names of the 1,475 British servicemen who died on the 3 D-Day beaches where British forces landed, together with the names of those members of the Royal and Merchant Navies who were lost at sea, and members of the Royal Air Force lost in the air. And it is to the sea that we look now, because aircraft are inbound. Aircraft from the Royal Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, to mark the opening of the British Normandy Memorial, the Red Arrows. The red arrows and the ribbons of red, white and blue in the skies over Gold Beach. A tribute from the Royal Air Force's Red Arrows to all those who gave their lives on this day, D-Day, 77 years ago, and in the fighting that followed. It was the battle upon which depended the freedoms of Western Europe. And with the opening of the British Normandy Memorial, we renew our obligation to remember and to pass that obligation to the generations of tomorrow. We pay our respects to our veterans, 2 of whom are among the guests in Vers-sur-Mer. David Mylechreest, a British veteran who served with the 43rd Wessex Division, who landed on Gold Beach on the 12th of June. And Charles Shea, an American veteran, a combat medic, who landed on Omaha Beach on the 6th of June. So we pay our respects to our veterans, but most of all to those of their comrades who never came home. Veterans, ministers of the governments of the United Kingdom and of France, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Normandy Memorial Trust, thank you for your attention. We say au revoir to our friends in Vers-sur-Mer and here at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire. I now hand the event back to the Royal British Legion. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, as a formal signal of respect and tribute, we would like to invite the Deputy Lord Lieutenant, as representative of Her Majesty the Queen, to lay a wreath. representatives of the Royal British Legion, the Normandy Memorial Trust, and the National Memorial Arboretum will now lay their wreaths. Now we have senior representatives of the Royal Navy, the Army and the Air Force coming forward to lay their wreaths. If our esteemed veteran guests would like to lay their wreaths, please do so now.
It's quiet here, so quiet, standing on this hill. But if I stand here much too longer, my eyes with tears will fill. Looking down, I'm there again, on that beach just down below. Far different to that morning that I remember so. That beach, it was a hell on earth where no man should ever go. I remember I was down there. I should know. Don't cry, dear old soldier. That was many years ago.
Thank you, Reverend Ken Hay, for a beautiful poem, A Quiet Place. It is now an honor for us to ask Rear Admiral Paget to the stage to present the Chevalier de l'Ordre National de Légion d'Honneur.
Minister, ladies and gentlemen, dear veterans and families, it is a very great honor for me today to recognize and to express our country heartfelt gratitude to heroes who helped liberate France and Europe during World War II. At a time when Europe was experiencing its darkest hours, my country was fortunate to be able to count on the support of its closest partner, the United Kingdom, and the brave British people who fought for our common values, freedom, democracy, and peace. You were among them. In 2004, French President François Hollande announced that all Allied veterans who took part in military operations in France between 1944 and 1945 would be decorated with the Légion d'honneur, France's highest civil and military distinction. That was on the 70th anniversary of D-Day. As we have witnessed the unveiling, or the official opening, I should say, of the British Normandy Memorial today in Normandy, we have awarded the Légion d'honneur to more than 6,200 British veterans. And I shall say, I am still hugely impressed by the extraordinary bravery of the sailors and airmen who, under fire, supported the landings with their accurate, decisive shelling and bombing. I am still hugely touched by the gallantry shown by the soldiers crossing the channel in bad weather and heading straight towards the German defenses, continuously pushing back the enemy until the final victory. Chers amis, through your award, France wants to honor you and all those who fought alongside you as a perfect example of individual who deserved our endless gratitude. Thank you again.
What do you want to back to?
got to get a grip of that. We spent a lot of money putting that by the gas yet, but they're obscuring the view from the people.
Rear Admiral Paget will now award the Légion d'honneur to Leonard Hobbs, Fred Adamson, Albert Price, George Payne, Joseph Donahoe, Donald Bill Redston, Douglas Baldwin, Norman Rose, and Gordon Tebbutt Wells. Okay, you want to say that for me, thank you.
And so, as we close our service, may the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit rest and abide with each one of you this day and forevermore. Amen.